Greetings, fellow Whovians, and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. I just wanted to talk about an article that has appeared on social media over the past 24 hours, the Deadline Hollywood article, which is basically talking about that Doctor Who, or the partnership with Doctor Who and Disney, is hanging in the balance, with the notion that things are not gone quite to plan since season 1 has come and gone. Obviously, with Ncuti Gatwa as the 15th Doctor and Millie Gibson as Ruby Sunday, Russell Davies back, of course, being the showrunner, and this is in partnership with Bad Wolf Studios and Disney. So Disney has the right to show it internationally, Doctor Who, on Disney Plus. So I thought I'd give my raw thoughts on this article, try and separate the fact from fiction. And if you like what you see and hear, please hit the subscribe button. That'll really help out this channel. So I won't be reading the article in full. I'll put a link in the description below because some of it's quite sort of editorial, and like I said, it's separating fact from fiction, but I'll get sort of the main point out there and sort of break it down a little bit. So straight away on the Deadline website, the sort of headline title is "Doctor Who's Regeneration, Has the Disney Gamble Paid Off?" With the article starting off as "Those lucky enough to attend May's Disney's upfronts at the North Javits Centre were treated to clips, teasers and appearances from some of the world's biggest stars. In the spotlight from Bob Iger's led Mouse House," why not say House of Mouse, "where hits from Disney stable include The Acolyte, Welcome to Wrexham, Abbott Elementary and a wealth of ESPN sports shows. The combined budget must have been astronomical, but almost completely absent from the upfront festivities was Doctor Who, the iconic British sci-fi series that Disney Plus now co-produces with the BBC, following what was undoubtedly one of the biggest global TV show deals of the past decade. Doctor Who was handed a minor bit of real estate at the North Javits, but its lack of front and centre placement may spin a yarn about the series' position in the Disney priority log nearly 3 years on from the deal being struck. So I just did a quick research into the show that they were talking about. So this was the Disney Upfront show back in May at the North Javits Centre. I do apologise if I'm pronouncing that wrong. And yeah, from what I can quickly look at, it was mainly to sort of promote actually Disney produced shows that are very much under the Disney Fox banner that they own outright. So things like Family Guy, Welcome to Wrexham, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, great shows by the way. So yeah, as much as there could be a bit of a head scratcher that Doctor Who wasn't involved, at the same time, it's not a fully owned Disney product. It's not fully, you know, the Disney, like I said, yes, they have a bit of sway in Doctor Who at the moment, but they have not got full control over this iconic British show. So it probably would muddy the waters that they would be heavily promoting Doctor Who at this particular convention. However, having said that, and it's sort of a bit probably why we're having such these types of articles at the moment, especially all about like the TV ratings for season 1. You know, we've got San Diego Comic-Con at the time of recording. That's going to be happening next week. Check out my Facebook page where I'll be putting details on there, as well as on my Twitter page as well at Review Timey, and of course the Timey Wimey Review TikTok page as well. So I think there's going to be some big exciting announcements going on at that particular Comic-Con. We've already had that on my Timey Wimey Review YouTube shorts as well, about the crossover with this intergalactic friendship between Doctor Who showrunner Russell Davies and Star Trek showrunner Alex Kurtzman. They're sharing the panel together for this intergalactic friendship day. So I imagine they're saving all of that for San Diego Comic-Con, because let's be honest, and there's no disrespect for this upfront show, I've heard of San Diego Comic-Con a lot more, and I imagine many Whovians and everyone out there would have heard of San Diego Comic-Con a lot more than this particular Disney convention that Deadline mentioned. Moving back to the article, following the conclusion of the first Disney BBC Doctor Who season several weeks ago, Deadline has taken the opportunity to analyse its performance both locally and across the pond, its critical reception and just what the future has in store for the deal. Noises that it may not last beyond its initial 2 seasons are already reverberating around international TV circles, and one source close to its production tells us that it feels their future hangs in the balance already. Disney, the BBC and co-producers of BBC Studios and Bad Wolf all declined Deadline's interview requests for this article. And again, why would they when they got San Diego Comic-Con coming up next week? I'll breeze through part of this article already because it starts to go on about talking about how this deal between Disney and BBC was a great thing for the show, how the budgets have changed, and what Russell T Davies has done in terms of putting his fingerprints all over the show for season 1. In terms of casting and obviously future casting, such as Barada Sethu, going to be a full-time companion next year. And the rumor that Disney had some say in terms of the added scene that was created for A Church on Ruby Road, where we had that scene with the Doctor and the snowman falling on the Doctor. That was an extra added scene, as Disney felt that there wasn't enough of the Doctor in this particular, well, at least the first 20 minutes of the episode, which might have put some viewers off. Didn't really put me off. What do you think about that particular rumour? The article moves on about ratings. So in this particular section, when it comes to ratings, a complex picture has developed. In the UK, the first episode from May launched with a disappointing 2.6 million overnight viewers, miles behind the opener of previous Doctor Jodie Whittaker, and also shipping 2 million from the Tennant starring specials. Armed with reams of its own internal data, the BBC has repeatedly stressed that overnights and even 7-day figures fail to paint a conclusive portrait. Doctor Who is the BBC's top drama for under 35s this year. The corporation says while Space Babies at time of writing has amassed 6 million viewers, the BBC's Whoniverse iPlayer brand has been streamed in its entirety nearly 65 million times this year, a spokesman said. I am definitely not an expert in terms of ratings, and again, I would love to know, if anything, how to get the ratings across sort of streaming and especially Disney Plus, because at the moment, sort of like from what I sort of figure out, ratings absolutely is still a key talking point, but I don't think it's the main key talking point of what it used to be. I mean, television, and I have, again, conversations that I keep hearing quite a lot of time, particularly with Doctor Who back in 2005, it was a ratings success and a juggernaut. But television has changed so much in nearly 20 years. You know, obviously streaming services is a big thing, and obviously on-demand services and things like that, where that didn't exist nearly 20 years ago. Am I disappointed in these figures? Yes, to a certain extent. You know, obviously we always want great success for Doctor Who across the board, but again, viewing ratings are definitely a talking point, but they're not the main, not all the main talking points. Again, I'm not an expert in TV ratings or anything like that. I would love to know how successful Doctor Who has been in the world of streaming, because that's kind of the demographic that they're going for, particularly with Disney Plus. Now, obviously, they don't have to share these particular ratings. If they don't want to. I don't think they've been regulated in the world of like Barb or other sort of rating metrics. But it would be fascinating to see how successfully it has done, because the only thing that we're getting is the 18 to 35 demographic. It's a very key demographic that lots of TV studios are aiming for, and obviously streaming services are aiming for, such as obviously Disney, BBC iPlayer, Netflix, Amazon Prime, list goes on. The article goes on saying, speaking of the Mouse House, ratings analyst Parrot Analytics tells us that Doctor Who was the most in-demand UK originating show with US audiences during its early release, although it didn't have enormous competition in the realm, with Bridgerton and it's saying Baby Reindeer has been out for a month since the time of Doctor Who was launched. It's reached a high of 7th of the Disney Plus list of most in-demand series, Parrot adds, trailing the likes of Simpsons and the Star Wars offshoots. Obviously Star Wars and Simpsons are big juggernauts in their own right, particularly in the US. So obviously Doctor Who to sort of, all right, might not be on top, but at least in the same sort of talking breath as those big juggernauts, whether people watch them or not, is still a success in its own right. All eyes now on the upcoming season, which is in the can and due to launch next year, along with the long-rumoured set of spin-offs that comprise the new Hooniverse, including the war between the land and the sea. So obviously it's not official yet, but that is like the main sort of title that's been going for. Obviously, that was kind of heavily dropped in the Doctor Who episode 73 Yards. Are we going to get some kind of announcement about this at next week's San Diego Comic-Con? Remains to be seen. I'm going to say possibly. I think it's a very strong possibility that's going to happen. But back to this article, one of the sources close to the production believes Disney will need to make a decision on its future relationship with the show soon after the war between the land and the sea wraps, and this could have a bearing on how long the in-demand Katwa, who will lead the West End production of Important to Be in Earnest at the end of the year, remains the Doctor. Although the next season has wrapped, this source predicts the final episode has been left open-ended, with the possibility remaining that Gatwa could regenerate into his successor if he chooses to exit. Gatwa's agents hasn't responded to Deadline's request for comments by press time. Sources are split on the extent to which Disney pulling out will harm the show's future. While it will no doubt be embarrassing, Doctor Who's mega-budget increase is perhaps less noticeable on screen than first thought. One source says positioning that Disney tentpoles like The Mandalorian looks far more expensive on screen, but another said it would be a disaster. Given that Disney has spent all of this money, the question becomes what will the BBC do if they pull out? So a lot to digest there in those two paragraphs. So first off, obviously there's been no announcement on Shooter Gatwa's exit or future plans for Doctor Who beyond season 2. Obviously, season 3 hasn't even been greenlit yet in terms of Disney sort of backing. I'm sure BBC will be going, yes, please, we'll have 50 more. And I know obviously Shooty has said that he wants to stick around for quite some time. And I don't, fingers crossed, I don't put a hex on this. I don't see Shooty leaving anytime soon, particularly, obviously, we had the two back-to-backs. He should be back anyway for season 3 after his year off at the moment, doing other projects, such as being in the West End production of Important to Be in Earnest. I think he'll absolutely smash that out of the park, don't you think, my fellow Whovians? But if Disney decides to call it a day after I would imagine, obviously season 2 and the so-called spin-off, will it be an absolute disaster for Doctor Who? No, because Doctor Who is just going to go on forever in whatever shape or form. Will it look very different? Yes, because obviously it's not going to have the same budget as what it is being given now. So obviously it's going to look more and more glorious than it ever has been, with the extra money that's being funded partly by Disney. But look at what the Jodie Whittaker era looked like without the Disney money, and it still looked glorious. So I don't think I'll be too worried about that, and sort of going a step back in terms of special effects and how grand it all looks. And is Doctor Who absolutely dead and buried without Disney? No, absolutely not, because for the BBC, it's the most lucrative show they have got in terms of an international market. It obviously used to be Top Gear, but obviously Top Gear is on hiatus at this stage. So Doctor Who, from an international selling standpoint for the BBC, is very, very much gold. So they will protect it in any means necessary. Is Doctor Who hanging in the balance in terms of its partnership with Disney? It's way too early to answer that question. Even Disney execs are not even thinking about that question. I think they would have seen season 1 as okay, probably could have been better, but not an absolute disaster. And that's kind of how I felt season 1 anyway, because it's just grabbing that international audience, and it's always going to be a slow burn. We're in it for the long haul. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And you see that from all sort of, like, if you base it on like American show models and stuff, season 1 of an American show any sort of type of show, ranging from Star Trek Next Generation to Family Guy to anything, all in all in between. You know, it's good, but it's not going to be the best. And obviously, and probably a lot of Disney execs and everyone involved in Doctor Who would like to, think that season 2 is going to be a success. I definitely want more from season 2 from what I've got from season 1, which I've mentioned in previous videos. And I think, fingers crossed, we're going to get it. And I think, hopefully in sort of being a positive person, we're going to be painting a bit more of a brighter picture with Doctor Who. A lot of criticism was that they didn't have enough time with Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor. Obviously, his time was split with Doctor Who and still filming Sex Education. So I do think we're going to get more of the 15th Doctor in season 2, which I think will appease quite a lot of fans alike and critics. Are we going to get more episodes? No, it's still obviously going to be the 8 episodes and the Christmas special for season 2. Hopefully for season 3, and again, I think it's just going to be this formula for a long time. But for season 3, if they can at least get 10, because I do think it would just give more chance of fleshing out characters, building those story arcs, and building a strong relationship with the Doctor and companion. I think 10 is very much a magic number, rather than 8 and trying to sort of condense it all, or at least just going to have to sort of get better in terms of the writing and just getting that sort of companion dynamic better. But I think obviously because Ncuti Gatwa is going to be, we're going to have more time with this Doctor next season. I think hopefully that'll lay some of this part of it to bed. Yeah, and like I said, BBC, it was still, Doctor Who with the BBC, it will still go on however long the BBC can afford Doctor Who. It'll be interesting if at the San Diego Comic Con panel, Doctor Who panel, that they lean onto this article and just sort of, say, yeah, we've heard all this, we've heard the criticism, we've heard the worries about ratings and demographics and this, that, and the other, and put their own spin on it. That remains to be seen. I think that I think they should embrace that and just go, yeah, this was the plan all along. We build up from the ground up. So yeah, we're not going to be the huge explosive success that I think everyone was looking to have, but we have been successful, and season 2 is going to be even better. And then we've got some other projects that we want to do in the pipeline, and this partnership with Disney is absolutely solid. We're not having any talk about any breakup in this relationship. I feel that the future is still safe for Doctor Who in whatever shape or form. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments below, and also let me know your thoughts to this particular article and what your overall thoughts for season 1 of Doctor Who and what you're looking forward to in season 2 of Doctor Who. But let's be kind in the comments there, please, my fellow Whovians and ladies and jelly spoons. And if you want something nice and uplifting, have a look on the Facebook page of Ncuti Gatwa's new Madame Tussauds wax model of the 15th Doctor. It looks scarily realistic. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please like, share and subscribe. Hit the close bell for more notifications. Come say hello and follow me on Facebook and X, and do check out my other fantastic Doctor Who related content on the Timey Wimey Review TikTok page, and of course right here on the Timey Wimey Review YouTube channel, including my little post of who will be your Mount Rushmore of Doctor Who Doctors. Do join in that. A lot of fun. And thank you very much again for watching. Until we meet again.